Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. Welcome to Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. I am your host, Magnetomar. That's right, this guy's taking a break. And today we're going to be talking about 5 spooky hidden gems for the month of October of 2025. How in the world does Magneto see with this stupid helmet on? Anyway, that's right. It is Halloween season and we're going to be talking about 5 different types of spooky hidden gems in the world of graphic novels. Welcome to Die! And welcome back, everybody. This is one of my favorite segments where I talk about 5 graphic novels, collected editions that not a lot of people are talking about, may not get the spotlight. Some of you may have heard of, and that's okay. You can leave in the comments down below if you have heard about some of these books, or maybe some of the books that you are going to suggest I may not have heard of. I've been doing this for a few years, so if you want to go back throughout the years to check out my hidden gems or my top 13 horror comics, although I'll probably need to update that sometime. You're more than welcome to. And I do hidden gems every month. As a matter of fact, last month, Taylor Trucks Comics helped me out while I was over in Europe. But I am back, or rather, I almost called him Magnetomar. Magnetomar. I think that would make J.M. DeMatteis and Chris Claremont proud. He was taking over. I thought about keeping the helmet on, but seriously, it echoes, and I'm like, how in the world does he see through here? By the way, if you got the Welcome to Die reference, might be time to schedule a colonoscopy. Just saying. All right. Yay, good news all around. So, 5 hidden gems in no particular order. Hit that like button. And again, if you don't see anything in here that you're like, man, how have you not mentioned this over the years? Well, if you went back and watched the videos and I didn't, by all means, please leave it down below. Let's go ahead and start with The Cemeterians by Daniel Kraus and Man House, published by Vault Comics. This is an all-in-one. You don't need to read anything before this. You don't need to read anything after this. As a matter of fact, most of my hidden gems usually are. This one is for older teens. This one has a really spooky, creepy premise behind it. And that is that bones are starting to appear in inanimate objects. You'll start to see them appear in baseballs. You'll start to see them appear in teddy bears. As a matter of fact, that's how this first starts. There's a doctor that's giving this young girl an x-ray, trying to look for a tumor, and she takes her teddy bear as a comfort object to hold while she's getting a scan, and inside of that teddy bear were some bones, and it gets creepier, as I mentioned, baseballs, and then eventually it starts taking, like, just appearing in trees, appearing in sometimes people. So what is causing it? We will come back to that. We have a team up of a scientist named Alan Hogarth and a theology expert named Ivy Bell, and they're trying to find what exactly is causing this. What is making these human bones appear and growing inside of objects? It's creepy just to imagine that, and I really think Man House does an amazing job of just adding that creepy factor with his imagery throughout the entire book. So these are 2 investigators, very similar to that of the X-Files, where you have the one that doesn't believe in spiritualism and the other one that's like, no, man of science, I gotta make sure what exactly is going on. Regardless, they're trying to figure this out. They go to different cemeteries across the United States, and there is one cemetery where they go to where an old caretaker perhaps shows them and tells them about these bones. What they're finding out is that the bones are actually coming from the dead bodies underground. There was a bone tested with DNA that it started appearing in somebody's hand. So now they have 6 fingers. And that 6th finger actually disappeared from underground. And I really like the mystery as to why this is happening. I didn't think it was going to go this route, but I dug it. And not just Man House's art that made for the horror, but you combine it with Kurt Russell's colors, it is so creepy. And then the idea was just I don't know, nasty, I thought. But in a delightful and impactful way. And then, of course, there's Jim Campbell on the letters. So, this is an all-in-one again, and only available in a trade paperback edition. It just came out, I believe, last year, and it was published by Vault Comics. So if you like the gross factor, a little bit of body horror in your horror stories, this is the one to get. Night of the Ghoul by Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla. This is published by Dark Horse Comics, and this one does have mature content. The previous book was probably about older teen, I think. This one has more of an adult content because of the language and the over-the-top violence. I've already done an overview of this a couple of years ago when it came out. It was a Comixology original. This is all about this character named Forrest Inman and his obsession with just restoring film, like original film. Now, him and his son, Orson, end up driving out into this California countryside where there's a retirement home for the elderly. And in that home resides this old-timey director named T.F. Merritt. Now, T.F. Merritt has gone on and changed his name because he's been keeping a secret, hiding away from people. And what they're looking for, or what Forrest is looking for, is Merritt's supposedly 1946 horror masterpiece. It was a movie called Night of the Ghoul. It was supposed to be the next horror masterpiece, ranking it amongst like Dracula and Frankenstein of its day, and it just never came out. Because apparently in the final days of production, there was this horrible fire, and it destroyed a lot of the film and killing a lot of the cast members and crew members. Now, Forrest and Orson are looking for this Night of the Ghoul reel. He wants to restore it, and he wants to see how it was supposed to end. Now, there's all kinds of weird things that are happening, especially with the creepy imagery by Francesco Francavilla, by the way. Oh my gosh. Much like the previous book with the bones, this one has more of a demonic type of story. The character of T.F. Merritt claims that this retirement home is actually ran by this cult called the Order of the Fly. And the Order of the Fly was a cult within his own movie. So the story does cut back, like it goes through a series of flashbacks, going back to the filming of the movie, to the actual movie that you're watching the characters. And then, of course, who exactly is the Ghoul? And was he supposed to be another monster like the werewolf, the mummy, Frankenstein's monster, sorry, almost made that mistake, and Dracula? Or was he based on somebody real? I really liked where this one was going and where it went. Now, Scott Snyder, of course, is no stranger to horror. He's written things like The Wake and, of course, The Witches, which a lot of people have really enjoyed, and hopefully we'll get a big oversized collection of that once it's all put together, I guess. But this one is only available in a trade paperback edition. Of course, it was a Comixology only at the time, but this is the home collected edition. So yes, trade paperback edition. Descent of the Dead by Rich Perez, Francis Pinovic, and Rage Ledbetter. Published by Tango Comics. This one's a little bit different because of the size, the scale of it. It's not like a manga, it's not like a tankobon, but it's like a digest-sized book. This one is the only one out of the list that is done in black and white and does have a mature content. So this is all taking place in the year 2076, and mankind has for years has tried to fight back against the zombie invasion. So yes, this is about zombies. And the zombie apocalypse happened in this world in 1968. So the zombies are dying, and there might be a way to turn this all around. And the origin might be a little bit of mythical proportions. So this town of Roanoke has lost communications with the headquarters, and tech repair teams who have went to investigate what happened to these people have also gone missing. So the call goes out to the Tango Company to go out there and investigate what happened to all the people of Roanoke and what happened to the tech repair teams that went out there. Now, the Tango Company is a special ops team, and all the people that are in this particular company have survived the bite. And they're all part of this process called the Operation Twilight. Operation Twilight is eliminating the remaining zombies that have scattered across the globe and trying to find a cure. And in order for the teams that are scattered across the globe to accomplish their missions, the squads must first extract this large meteor. And it's this meteor that's just giving out radiation. And the meteor, of course, could be the reason why perhaps the dead were coming back to begin with. So it's got this creepy story of zombies and humanity's last stand, and perhaps how we might be able to turn some of those zombies back before killing every one of them. I really like the artwork that's in black and white. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Keith Giffen era, when he was just trying out new things, like back in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, the man never stopped changing his art style. Now, everything is in black and white with the exception of the personnel files that are in the back of the book. They're kind of like a handbook of a who's who on the Tango team. And it's an all-in-one book, mature content, and only available in a trade paperback format. Beyonders by Paul Jenkins and Wesley St. Clair, published by Aftershock Comics. This is a teen rating. I wanted to throw something in there for teens because horror comics tend to go the mature route these days. And, to me, like, a good horror story doesn't matter what rating it is. I think some of my favorite, of course, are the EC comics. And most of those really weren't that mature content. I mean, some of them had a little bit of graphic violence, but nothing like we've seen these days. So I wanted to throw something in there that had some adventure, some fun, and also a dash of horror. And this is that particular book. So this is all the story of Jake Tate, who lives in Alaska with his flatulent Welsh corgi that only has one eye. And then I promise I'm going to come back to that, why I described the poor doggy that way. The poor doggy's name is Shadwell. Now, he lives with his uncle Paul and his aunt Karen, and he's into conspiracy theories, and he is big into cryptology. What he doesn't know is that his entire world is about to flip upside down. And there's adventures that are right around the corner. And all this really begins when he starts talking to this girl named Noreen, who has these blue lips. Not like she's dead blue lips, like she's a zombie. More like it's blue lipstick. Anyway, she ends up coming over and kind of calming him down. I love the ending of the first issue, how she's like, "Come with me if you want to live." A throwback to the classic Terminator. But he saw things before this, like his aunt and uncle were robots, and maybe his dog has superpowers. So she lets him know about the Beyonders, which is a secret organization that has existed for a long time. Now, of course, there's more secrets than that, but I'll tell you one of them is that his corgi is a genetically modified dog. That the reason why he has like nasty farts because they couldn't fix the corgi's inside to genetically modified Shadwell. And also to keep tabs on Jake, they had to put something inside of Shadwell, and it can only go into his eye. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the dog's pretty badass. Now, the Beyonders is a secret organization, but there's also the Order, who's an ancient society that wants to preserve the power structure that keeps us all ignorant, if you will. So they need his help. They need his help to decode a few things that they cannot figure out. And the very first mission is to try to find the Library of Alexandria. And there's a lot of secrets in here, especially towards the end of the book, when you find out perhaps the leader of the Order might be somebody important in his life. And what exactly is the Beyonders about? Are they the good guys? I will say this. It's only a volume 1, and it does kind of end on, not a cliffhanger, but definitely could be more stories. I don't know what's going on with Aftershock. I haven't really seen a collection from them in a few months. I think it's almost been a year. I don't know if they're still around. I hope Paul Jenkins ends up taking the story elsewhere, though, because I had a lot of fun with this one. There's a couple little scary, spooky elements in here, but just a fun story that you should definitely check out. So as of now, it's all one and done in a trade paperback format. The Occultist by Mike Richardson, Tim Seeley, and Victor Druginu. This one is published by Dark Horse Comics, and this one has mature content. Now, this is kind of reminds me of like Doctor Strange, is why I dig it. Even though the guy ends up looking more like the Hood, Parker Robbins. But anyway, this is the story of Robert Bailey, who seems like your stereotypical college student. He has this girlfriend named Valerie, and they're having some issues. She wants to break it off because she doesn't really see herself kind of staying with him because he's a bit of a loser. He's struggling with his classes. His mom is a little overbearing. She's super religious, and she just doesn't really let him grow up on his own. He seems to be kind of living under her shadow. So how he is kind of paying his way through school is working at this bookstore named Elder's Bookstore. And it's owned by Mr. Elder. Go figure. And then what ends up happening is he comes across this secret book. And for some reason, this book is just impressed by him. And it's this magical identity known as the Sword. And it chooses him to be the next bearer. So he becomes, you guessed it, the Occultist. And immediately a bunch of mystical assassins come looking for him. That's actually how he ends up finding the book and finding out that he has powers. These group of 3 strangers come into the store looking for this book called The Sword and end up killing Mr. Elder. Now, Robert ends up leaving. He runs across Detective Ana Melendez, and she gets kind of dragged into the supernatural battle for Robert's life. And there's also Mr. Elder, who's dead, but his ghostly apparition might be giving Robert some hints as to what to do next. And who exactly is looking for him? Who is this Aiden Beck guy? Why does he want the sword for himself? And of course, he's up to no good. Now, this is all about this character named Robert, who, by the way, isn't very likable. And he does a lot of questionable things with his powers. And who I really liked was actually the supporting cast. I really liked the character of Ana Melendez and Valerie because they seem like 2 people that, like, real people, and how you would really react to circumstances like this. Yeah, there's a little bit of a love triangle in there between the 3 characters, but it's more about fighting off against these demons, the supernatural. And I think this is the only book out of the batch that had a little bit of superheroics in there. Now, the book is available in 2 different formats. There are 2 trade paperbacks, but Dark Horse also releases omnibus editions, which are these trade paperbacks, like thick trade paperbacks, so you can get it that way. And if you're interested in any of the books I've talked about, including The Occultist, check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And those were my 5 graphic novel hidden gems for the month of October of 2025. In the comments down below, let me know what you've read from this particular list, what you dug, what you didn't like, or what you've read recently that I need to check out, perhaps for a next spooky season hidden gems. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love!